Citizens of football land, what it do, baby? Let's go. The draft guide is out. I'm excited. Welcome back to the Badlands feed. It's Buck the Trend. I'm your host, Dan Essian. Today I got you a little special feature drop episode. Uh, so let's get into it a little bit. So at first, I want to just thank everybody for checking out the draft guide. I appreciate y'all showing love. I appreciate y'all being active in the Discord, and um, I appreciate y'all uh, lending your eyes, giving me your feedback and stuff like that, help me fix things, particularly early on. So I really appreciate y'all. And I want to give you some. I want to give you this feature drop. I do want to just kind of quickly go through some of the things that we've seen, um, from the activity and the feedback and everything like that. I think glad y'all kind of like the flow, the UI and all that stuff. But what we really want to kind of see was the reports that people that gravitate towards, and based on activity so far, it does look like the most popular scouting report is Brock Bowers. Well, now was that did we influence that? Maybe, perhaps. Maybe some choices in terms of access may have influenced that. No, but it's pretty cool to see y'all taking the reins there and um, taking a look at the hard work that all the scouts on team did. And again, big shout out to obviously Connor, Greg, Meeks, Paul, Will, just like everyone that put this together, everyone that was kind of grinding with us. So it was such a cool, and this is always my favorite part of the year in terms of some of the stuff I get to do with Badlands. It's truly my favorite project. I love the season preview guide as well, so keep an eye out for that, of course. But no, this one is just like we get to really get super creative and put our heads together, and it just kind of focuses on talking ball, and yeah, it's truly like the most fun I get to have putting my different hats together in one ring. So it's yeah, personally, just a really cool project and something I love to do and will continue to do. But I just wanted to thank y'all first for checking it out, for showing love, and let me get into this new feature, new and old feature, I would say. It is already dropped, so if you check out the guide, you got a new route or a new menu item in that sidebar. It's called traits. It's the traits machine, dropping the traits machine 2.0. And I'm actually just going to spend this episode walking through it. I know I can't share my screen, or I'm not using the right system to do so. So you're going to have to bear with me, but I'm just going to use it to talk through this draft class. So last year you saw a little bit of this, and I wasn't the biggest fan of how I made it last year. So I kind of wanted to take another stab at it, do it with a little bit of a table view, so you can see all of the traits and then the individual prospects that we matched with each trait. So in general, just to go through the idea for traits, we wanted a way for us to categorize different prospects in the class based on their abilities, and use these traits. Typically, the traits really are things that we've seen map to success at the next level, or these like categorizations are that describe players that tend to have success. Um, and we try to make sure these the traits aren't too general, the traits aren't overlapping too much. Sometimes they are related, but not particularly overlapping. So we try to get specific, but not too specific to the point where it's overdoing it. But yeah, we had an initial set of traits last season for the draft guide, and we built on that a little bit. We added a few new ones. We changed a few. I don't know if last year, if anyone checked out the traits machine, there was Speedster amongst those traits. This year, kind of split those up because we felt like the Speedster trait could apply in a lot of different ways, and I wanted to get a little bit more specific. So instead, this year we have the home run hitter trait for those offensive players who can really take the ball the entire way. And I'll go through all the traits in a second, but we split that up into the home run hitter and the track star because those track star athletes, those really could be any position, and teams really do value overall team speed a lot in today's game, and they're looking for often guys who can pair that track level speed with um, a semblance of football ability. So it is something that teams look for, and it's not always just like, oh, a general speedster. I think the home run hitter separation made sense on offense. So we divvied those up a little bit, and I think often when you can combine that, there are guys that maybe run a 4-4, right, that are kind of home run hitters, right? They either have really good game speed and it didn't really match up with their testing, right? Or they're just the type of player that can take it the entire way no matter what, whenever they have the ball. So yeah, it made sense for us to split those up, really make a difference between like what that world class speed that really shows up on tests, and those offensive players that are just touchdown threats every time they got the ball in their hands. So you'll see that difference this year, but I'm going to go through all of the traits right now, and I'm just going to use the traits machine as a guide and get through this episode. So let's do it. So starting with acrobat. Acrobat was on last year's. Description that we have on that is, player that can contort their body to make spectacular catches. So you're thinking about like crazy body control. I think the last year example we had, if I'm not mistaken, was the Justin Jefferson catch, the one-handed catch that he made to save on fourth down to save that game. I think it was against the Bills. Yeah, Justin Jefferson is ridiculous, but that play really exemplified that acrobat characteristic. And I think this year I might have switched it out with this Cortland Sutton catch against the Chiefs that he, just insane, jumped in the air, twisted his entire body, caught it over the boundary, then got his knee in somehow. Just an insane catch. But yeah, those are the type of players that, you can kind of just throw the ball up to, but they can find a way to, put their body in position to make the right catch. And of course, the Jets have a little bit of an acrobat with Garrett Wilson. Not a little bit; he's a full fledged acrobat. But yeah, I think we got 8 prospects tagged as acrobats this year, and the eligible positions for that, of course, are wide receiver, cornerback, and safety. So really, just pass catchers and DBs, right? Both those positions, usually when you have a DB with really good ball control or really good ball skills, and that can sometimes match up with their ability to kind of, twist their body around, throw their body through the air, and make plays on the ball. Usually results in a lot more PDs and a lot more, spectacular interceptions. So, yeah, if you have a DB with that acrobat trait, you're looking at guys that like, they're playing receiver from the DB position, but like they're also way more adept at like getting their hands on the ball or getting their hands to the ball, or, getting in the way of the receiver, and just playing the ball in the air at a really high level. So yeah, so that's the acrobat trait, and this year it's rare. It's a rare trait. I said 8 prospects. It's 8 out of the 59 eligible. So it's a pretty rare one. So yeah, that's just an example. I'm just gonna like talk through all the other ones. I'm not going to go into the specifics. I want you to check it out. But yeah, so we have ankle breaker. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Players that can change direction in an instant. They can break your ankles when they got the ball in their hands. Ball hawk is back. Battle tested's back. The bendy trait is back. Big catch radius, big hitter. The new one we have is the bloodline trait, and that's for an NFL player that's related to a significant former NFL, a prospect that's related to a significant former NFL player. And it's one that I really wanted to add because we've seen consistently the last few drafts. One, it makes us feel old, of course, but uh, we've seen consistently that when you have that in your like family and in your bloodline, that NFL experience, it often is a boost for prospects coming into the NFL, particularly if they have the talent and they're had productive college career. You can see that they're always more prepared for that next level. And again, we saw it with Joey Porter Jr. We've seen it with a lot of other players like that, where they just get to the league and they're super coachable and they're prepared for all the rigors of the next level, and they can kind of hit the ground running. So it's why we added that trait this year. Um, we got Bulldozer again. Chaos Agent is my favorite trait. Truly, truly my favorite trait. I think I've tweeted about it and talked about it on a few pods. The Chaos Agent trait is my favorite thing in here. And I'll talk through this one because since I love it so much, it's a defender that specializes in causing disarray for opposing offenses, often resulting in turnovers. It's a player that like, and these players when you watch games, like literally anytime they're on the field or anytime they're around the ball, something's going to happen, right? Um, and those are special players. Those are players that you really want to like key in on. If you ever have a chance of getting a player like that, if you have a chance of getting multiple players like that, you have an incredible defense like the Pittsburgh Steelers, where you have like somebody like Minka Fitzpatrick, who's definitely a chaos agent, and then somebody like TJ Watt, who's a clear chaos agent. It's really that type of thing where a player can make their own luck, right? Because of the level of effort they play with, because of the level of intelligence that they play with, right? They're able to really impact the game at an incredibly high level. Um, and yeah, they just make turnovers happen because of the way that they attack the game and attack the opponents. And so yeah, I love that chaos agent trait. It's a very rare trait in this year's draft. I think it's going to be consistently a very rare trait in the following years, just because of like how few players there are that really exemplify that. Um, and so yeah, chaos agent trait. Check that one out. It's my favorite. Just another quick little spoiler. Leatu Latu had him as a chaos agent. That guy is an insane pass rusher, but yeah, he's also very good at um, making sure he's swiping at the ball a lot of the times on his pass rushes once he gets home, trying to get the ball out. But he does the same thing in run game as well. It's a great player. But yeah, check out some other guys there. There's also Jaden Hicks, which is super interesting. He's a younger prospect and a safety. And he, Connor had a great scouting report on him. You should check it out. Very interesting player. Very interesting player to consider. It is a third round pick, so it would be a little bit early than I think many folks would want them to go safety. But at the same time, if you have a safety who's of that caliber available at that point, maybe consider it. Maybe. So yeah, let's go through the other ones. So the contact balance trait is there again. A new one is the contested catch ace trait. That one I wanted to specifically differentiate from some of the other ones like acrobat and sure-handed. The contested catch ace is somebody like they're going to fight for the ball. They attack the ball and they can fight off other DBs to make catches, right? And that's a little bit different. Like I feel like an acrobat, somebody who's going to contort their body and go around a DB to make a catch, right? Whereas a contested catch ace is somebody who's going to attack the ball. They're going to fight for the ball and they're going to make catches amongst other folks, right? So if you were throwing a jump ball and you're getting plastered, right? It's not a situation where it's like, okay, I physically can't do anything to overcome this. This players that really can fight through those and make catches. It's also players who can position their bodies in the way, like on crossing routes, to make catches when they're getting plastered as well. So, that's that contested catch ace trait. You'll see, I mean, a lot of the stats that people take these days, contested catches is, I'm sure if you look at the PFF or other systems like that, you'll see that they literally have a percentage of, how often they make these catches contested. these are guys who can bring those in at a high rate. So, um, yeah, that's another new one for this year. Dancing Bear is back for the trenches. Super athletic, really great footwork in the trenches. It's actually a common trait this year, so very interesting. If you're looking for a nimble trench player, there you go. Football IQ is back. A new one, another new one, hand to hand combat. I really wanted to bring this one for the trench players. Uh, it's players that have like really quick and violent hands, and along with that, like very good reflexes. And I think the best example of that this year's class is Leatu Latu. The guy's hands are incredible, right? He can, man, he's just such a skilled player with his hands. He can really manipulate offensive linemen in a million different ways. He knows how to, he understands leverage really well. It's something that, like, a guy like, for example, usually offensive linemen that are like with wrestling backgrounds often are really good with hand to hand combat, mostly because they have a good understanding of leverage from their wrestling days, right? And so they can position themselves in certain ways or attack certain parts of the defensive lineman's body and just completely knock them off balance or take them off their feet. And then from the trenches, like I told you, Latu is a great example of this. It's those guys who can manipulate offensive linemen, keep them away from their body, chop their hands away, rip across them, arm over, or just cross chop. Of course, like guys who really excel with those techniques. That's that hand to hand combat trait. And also guys who can just punch the crap out of you, right, and knock an offensive lineman back into the backfield. Those are those hand to hand combat guys. And so, yeah, check that one out. Home run hitter. Again, I talked about that one earlier. A little bit of a deviation from the speedster. Those are the guys who've put they've clearly shown themselves as a touchdown threat whenever they have the ball in their hands on offense. And then mobile magician is back for the quarterbacks. New one for the quarterbacks is the moonshot dimer. Honestly, this one was very much inspired by Russell Wilson. Oddly enough, I know he's had a rough go at it recently, but the one good trait he always had in Seattle, and he still has it a little bit now, is his deep ball. And yeah, it's really players that can throw a super accurate deep ball with perfect height and power to find a receiver, and get them in stride. That's that moonshot dimer. Somebody who can really put it on like on a platter for a receiver way down the field. So that's a new one. There's a couple new quarterback ones. Another one's coming up real soon. Pass rush artist. That one's from last year. Perfect touch is a new one for quarterbacks. And it's a quarterback that can consistently deliver accurate pass with the right touch. That one, I'll let y'all check that one out because it's very rare. And I think it'd be interesting to see the one quarterback who did get that trait from the ones that we scouted. Especially just considering the modern NFL, accuracy is really the main thing that matters. If you have a bazooka for an arm, that's cool. But if you're not accurate with it, it doesn't really matter, right? And so the next one is the plaster trait. That was on last year. Was those lockdown DBs. The power runner trait, that was on last year's as well. Quick get off, that was on last year's as well for the trench players who can really get off the ball really quickly. Rangy, another one that was on last year's for those linebackers and safeties. Rare size is a physical trait one. Those are players like who just have rare size for their position specifically, not just rare size overall. It's a very position specific description there. Relentless motor, another one of I really like, and one that's honestly very important for the next level. If a player, you want your elite players or really good players to have a consistent motor, and it really does set apart certain players. So yeah, that relentless motor trait is back. Return specialist is back again from last year. Rocket arm, of course, that's back from last year. Route technician, another one. Run stuffer is back from last year as well. That one actually might be. Is that one new? That one actually might be new. A defender that is disruptive against the run. players that really just live in the backfield, always getting in there and making plays against the run. Those are edge defenders, inside defensive linemen, and linebackers as well. And then the sure-handed trade is there again. The sure tackler trade is back as well. And then I mentioned the track star trait. That's the new one. That's world class speed. So that's speed that shows up on tape and shows up on tests. That's that real stuff. So that's there as well. We have the ultimate weapon trait, another one of my favorite ones. It's a player that's a chess piece. They can be used anywhere on offense. They're physically rare for like their position, but they're often one of the best athletes on the field overall. They can run routes. They can, um, take the ball on a handoff. They can do anything on offense. You just use them however you want to use them. There's some very interesting players that match up with that this year that y'all should take a look at. A vision runner, that's for the running backs, and added wide receivers to that one this year as well. Just because some of them, particularly those wide receivers that could be ultimate weapons, can kind of match up with that. But you'll see how many folks that got that one. It's actually a very rare trait in our reports this year. And then the Yak Monster, the last one. Of course, those players getting those yards after catch, breaking tackles, running through people, or making them miss. Those are there as well. So, yeah, Traits Machine 2.0. Y'all check it out. The interface is completely different than last year. It's a nice little table. You can see a little preview of some of the prospects that matched up with those traits, a little headshot picture of them, and then a total number of how many of them matched up. And you can click inside of that and see a list of all those prospects. And inside of that, there's a link for each prospect to their full scouting report, so you can really easily navigate back and forth and check out, for the players that match the traits that you like, right? You can kind of just check out the scouting report, come right back and check out other traits as well. So yeah, nice little way to analyze this class. I think there's a lot of really cool findings from it. It's definitely, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of really nimble trench players, a lot of options there if that's something that you're looking for. And I think for the Jets, that is something that they tend to look for, is a little more athletic defensive linemen, even on the interior, guys that can be disruptive, guys that can make plays as a result of that. So pretty interesting. You can take a look at the speed. If you look at the filters for position, you can actually filter for wide receiver traits. Of course, knowing that some of those do match up with other position groups, but if you filter for that, you can see of the wide receiver traits, which wide receivers match up with what. Same thing for tight ends. If you're specifically looking for certain pass catchers, particularly with the Jets options in the first round, you can kind of analyze the group that way. And yeah, there's a lot of options in here. Y'all should kind of take your time to go through it, check it out, and have a little fun. Yeah. I think y'all will enjoy this one. So that's it for me. I'm going to announce it. A little tweet. It's actually already out. That's why I'm playing it out with it right now. So I'm sure some of y'all already saw it. But I hope y'all enjoy it. Keep checking out the draft guide. Eat up these reports up until the draft next week. We're going to keep dropping as many new reports as we can. And if it's helpful, y'all let me know. We can kind of just drop links to the reports in the Discord if y'all are really interested in some of the new ones that come out. It's really easy to link those. So y'all let us know, man. You could also just go to the reports finder. You'll see right now we're at 160, so we got 10 more than we did at the initial drop. You can just go through, search for the ones that you're looking for. You can filter them by pre-draft visit. Right now we have 16 reports of the players that had pre-draft visits with the Jets in right now, so you can check those out. Yeah, just keep making the most of it, man. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out the guide. I appreciate again all the love. It really, it's really awesome. It gives me a lot of inspiration to keep doing and trying new things. There's definitely, there's definitely some things that uh, will be saved for next year in terms of features. I'm pretty every year we make this. The process definitely leads to new ideas and leads to new possibilities. So it's again why it's my favorite project of the year. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend and talk to y'all next time. Bye.